Now, you might or might not have read somewhere that the hugely respected think tank, the Council on Foreign Relations in Washington, described Nigeria's just concluded presidential election as having both promise and peril embedded within it. That was before the election took place, and now that it has, there are many who say that the promise is no longer secure, and they're still uncovering the perils of a much promoted but rather disheveled ballot. At first, it all seemed improbably glamorous after all the talking up by INEC spokespersons, but then along came the election itself to lay it bare. The myth was dispelled, and suddenly it became a story of violence, chaos, animosity, and brutal, punishing verbal fights, the fallout of which has been, for some at least, extreme, and is getting more so by the day. So how do we at once establish the enduring principle of justice and manage to get this country back on the right path of rectitude? Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the former Deputy National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, Dr. Onwubuya Abraham Breakforth, currently Director General of the Global Initiative for African Development, an NGO that works on deepening democracy. Thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So where are we now in this country politically in your assessment? Because you've been in this Nigerian politics for a long time, not just as a former deputy chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council, but also as both a former presidential candidate and a former governorship candidate. So in that regard, how do you assess where Nigeria currently is politically?
Well, I thought by now Nigeria could have advanced democratically, but at the moment it seems that we are moving back on front. You know, in 1999, the democracy returned fully to Nigeria. I remember that in 1998 we started forming the PDP, then the G13 and G18, G34 and G18 came together to form the PDP. I was also part of that formation of PDP in 1998. The PDP was formed, election was held in 1999. We have a no democratic government in 1999, and we are very happy. So we thought from 1999 to now, we are supposed to advance the democratic practice, but it's not the case.
Right. So what are the most serious issues that you think have retarded that development that you expected to happen going forward? Because of course you're also part of you're Director General of the Global Initiative for African Development. That's an NGO that works on deepening democracy. So you're measuring how far Nigeria has come democratically. I mean, my question was, what are the most serious issues that you think have retarded that deepening of democracy?
Yeah, I think the most serious issue is that our leaders are being selfish. You know, they're seeing governance as a business instead of service. Because governance, democracy is all about the government of the people, for the people, and by the people. Now, when people come to power, to make fame, to make money, not to render service. That's the problem we have. There's a departure from rendering service to the people and from rulership of the people. So I think that's where we miss it as a nation. But nevertheless, I also want to say that our democracy is still a young democracy. America is over 20 years in democratic practice. So Nigeria is still a growing democratic. It's a process. We are still growing. Yeah,
but for someone who's 63 years old, or almost 63 years old, you wouldn't call that person a spring chicken or something.
Yeah, of course, but in terms of consistent democracy, we are very, let me tell you about, from 1999 till now, it's how many years? This is almost 25 years to 30 years uninterrupted democratic process in Nigeria. So what I want to say here, very quickly, that our problem is that our leaders need reorientation. of the principle of democracy. But I want to say that because the way democracy was bad, 1999, the Nigerian people never believed that it will work. So in 1999, all kind of people drop into democracy. We have all kind of people, businessmen, and all kind of character went into politics because the real Nigerians stayed aside. They don't
that
believe
is true.
They don't believe that the democracy will work. So we have these people that came into the first time, drop into democracy, into the democratic process, and we started getting it wrong. But nevertheless, there's a hope for our country. And that's why my organization played a major role in the democratic process.
Right.
Now, if you look at the governance from 1999 to 2003 to 2007 to that of 11, and you can see successive democratic process. We need to look at those Nigerians, those who are coming to lead us, the character, the people. What is the profile of these people who are coming to vie for office? Because the politics have been hijacked for ab initio,
right,
by some group of persons. They have jacked the system, so it's difficult for the right people to come into governance.
Well, let's assess the way the last election, well, we just had one,
yes,
which is obviously disputed by a lot of people. But let's look at the presidential candidates. What is your assessment of them?
Yeah, the presidential candidate, well, looking at the APC candidate, the PDP candidates, it's very interesting. Now you look at the APC candidate have been there as former AD governor from 1999 to 2007, 8 years so he had the experience. He have been there, he have seen, he have passed through the terrain. He had the experience, he have also involved in formation of other political parties, like the ACD in 2005, Data AC in 2006, that Atiku as governor in 2007. So Bola Tinubu have been in the game of politics in this country. You have seen it all. So he's experienced hand, he's exposed, and he also built bridges across the country. Now looking at Atiku have been there also as the vice president of Nigeria from 1999 to 2007. Also contested as a presidential candidate of AC Action Congress in 2007. And they ran for the presidency, and they lost to Yaradua. And as a matter of fact, he has been in the system. He has been consistently running for presidency to date. Now, Peter Obi has been a governor for 8 years. He's also experienced, but is not as experienced as Tinubu and Atiku. Because Peter Obi, though he did well in Anambra, he had a good track record in terms of investment, economy development, infrastructural development in Anambra State. He had a good track record. But if you put the three of them, look at Atiku, look at Tinubu and Peter Obi, you find out that Atiku and Tinubu are vast in terms of experience and exposure.
Yeah, but isn't that what people wanted to see changed? That those two people, and this is not my opinion, because I really don't have one, but the assessment of what we've seen is that people wanted a change of guard from those old guard people that you were talking about to someone who has fresh ideas and a fresh approach to politics. That was the whole idea, wasn't it?
Please agree with me that every 8 years, Nigerians want change. Now, if you watch from 1999 to 2007, PDP continued to 2011 to 2015. When APC came on board, there was this change. Nigeria were coming for change. They wanted Buhari. Buhari was old man, experienced man. They wanted a change, and Buhari came 2015, as a change matter, for Nigeria. Now Buhari is concluding 8 years, another change. No, but the truth is that the Nigerian people are yearning for good governance. They want a fresh idea. They want somebody who is energetic, who can bring fresh air into the Nigerian politics. So, because we have not actually got it right for all these years. So, you will not blame a Nigerian man. It's the citizens who say, look, we want a change. And people be seen to bring the change. You know,
Right.
being a former governor, being also a younger person compared to the two others. So Nigeria said, look, this one is younger. He's a former governor for 8 years. He can give us what we want. So there was this clamor for change. So, and that have been, because Nigeria as a nation have not got it right in terms of having good leadership. I'm not condemning the former leaders, but in terms of advance, the way we expected, the expectation of Nigerians have cut short over the years.
Yeah, okay, I understand the point you're making, but let's look at it from the point of view of your NGO, the Global Initiative for African Development, which is, as we said, working on deepening democracy. However you look at it, we are where we are now. I mean, an election has taken place, it is disputed, but someone emerged as president-elect. It's led to a lot of verbiage, a lot of rhetoric, some of it quite fiery, vitriolic, and that appears to be potentially causing a lot of upset and could cause even deeper upset within Nigeria. As you assess the right way that democracy ought to be practiced in this country, I wonder if you agree with those who say that the federal government and the security agencies seem to be taking sides in this deepening conflict between the APC and the Labour Party.
Well, I want to say quickly that the security agency has a major role to play to protect the integrity and the sovereignty of our nation, to ensure that there's no violence, the nation doesn't go to a point of anarchy. So the security agencies are not part of deepening the problem.
Well, they're not supposed to be.
They're not supposed to be.
The perception is that they're taking sides.
But you see, the security agency, for me, I don't see them as taking sides. I've seen them as doing what they ought to do.
Right.
Because they must protect the country first. Before we talk about leadership, the country first. They must have a country before you can rule a country. So as a matter of fact, the security agencies, though I'm seeing most of them have been overzealous officers who are going extreme, you know, but normally security agencies have the role to protect the peace and order in every nation, to ensure that the politician doesn't go out of the way to cause problem or violence. Because a statement of a leader, either a Labour Party presidential candidate or APC or PDP, can cause trouble in the whole nation. So the security agency must be careful to ensure that these candidates or these candidates of this party doesn't cause problem. So I believe they are doing what they ought to do.
Yeah, but if there is the perception, and perception is obviously all important, if there is the perception that measures are being put in place, and that the security agencies and the federal government are colluding in that process when they should be entirely objective. But if the perception is that measures are being put in place to try to muzzle the opposition, what impact might that have on Nigeria's democracy?
That will throw the country into violence, into chaos. I think I want to say quickly here on this platform that the security agency must remain unbiased umpire.
Neutral.
Must remain neutral, because they're taking sides with any candidate of the federal government. I heard in the news that there's a plan to fabricate accusations, against the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, which is wrong. Because once he's arrested and is being harassed, they'll throw the whole country into confusion. So the security agency must be neutral, must be objective, must be professional in doing their job. Otherwise, they'll throw this nation into trouble. I want to say quickly here that for this last election, we all know that election was adjourned as fraudulent, because I was part of our group.
Yes, you do an election observation. Yeah.
So because INEC failed to keep to the code of conduct for the election, according to the electoral act, that the result was uploaded from the polling unit. They failed. And that brings to bear the fear of the people that, look, they are manipulation. Because INEC failed to transmit the results. No, so now, the candidates are not happy. They are going to court. Like the Labour Party, the PDP. You can agree with me that PDP has a great chance for this to win this election. But the PDP has the former governor of Delta State, who is a working governor, who has track record, with Atiku, who had the experience. So PDP was in a good position to win this election. But because of the internal crisis in PDP, actually affected PDP. But then Labour Party, because of the changed matrix of Nigerians, also have, so it was a very highly competitive election. It was highly competitive. All the parties were seriously, and Nigerians had a better choice to choose. So, but if INEC have done a good job, I believe sure, we would have where we are today. So that's the situation.
So do you agree or disagree that as a result of this thesis that you just put forward,
Yes.
that this election has led to deep divisions in this country, divisions that lay dormant for quite some time, but seem to suddenly becoming an accelerating phenomenon?
That's true. I agree with you. Because you can see there was a national outcry on the corner of the election. There was a suppression of voters, there was intimidation, there was crisis in many parts of the country, and many people were disenfranchised from voting. I was part of the election. So the election was not properly conducted by INEC. But let me also tell you that in the 18th March, governorship election and House of Assembly election, INEC improved. INEC saw a mistake. I believe INEC was overwhelmed, in that 25th February election. But in the 18th March, INEC improved. There were transmission results from polling units. There was related material came on time. Things were done properly. Like, for example, the election in Delta State. I covered Delta State. And found that the governor, that's what I want every chief executive to do. The governor gave a free hand for the voter to choose. He did not use his position as incumbent governor to oppress the people. Like what happened in Rivers. In the case of Rivers, like the case of democratic dictatorship. The voters were not actually given the room to vote. But in Delta State, the governor allowed the voters to come out and choose who they want to be the governor. The election was peaceful, was credible, was fair. Some places we have challenges in Delta State was the area of the opposition party. They have some challenge where we have INEC staff kidnapped, there was violence and all that. But in the Delta, and it's also part of the state, like Castina. The PDP won Castina, against the ruling APC and all that. So the election in 18th March was a major improvement by INEC compared to last 25th election.
So given your assessment and given the fact that you say that there are deep divisions now within this country, do you believe that the courts can be the unbiased arbiter that can restore balance to this country, or will there be much more uncertainty to come?
Yeah, I think at this point our nation division have deepened. In the area of religion, ethnicity, tribe, and all that. Now, the only way to bridge the gap is for the court to do the right thing. The court, the Nigerian judiciary, must live up to expectation. It's the last hope of a common man. If they do otherwise, the gap, the division will deepen the more. It may lead to a serious crisis and serious revolution that the government cannot control.
Okay.
So we are asking the court, I'm saying here at the platform, that the court must raise their head up to ensure that the right thing is done, they be transparent in the judgment, and ensure that whoever that won the election, if it is APC, if it is Labour Party, if it is PDP, they should give the election to them or call for a rerun of the election. But I know the rerun will cost more money, more expensive. But the truth is there. The court must do justice, must adjudicate rightly to ensure that the right thing is otherwise. So the hope now of this country, the future of this country lies in the hand of the judiciary.
Okay. On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed for coming in to talk to us. Dr. Onwubuya Abraham Breakforth is the former Deputy National Chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. He's currently Director General of the Global Initiative for African Development, an NGO that works on deepening democracy. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
That's it for this edition of Arise Prime Time. Join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, bye-bye and thank you for watching.